Hello and welcome to BatFlip Crazy YouTube. I am your host, Toby. Today we are going to take a look at using xstats.org detailed batted ball profiles, especially looking at pop-ups, hard drives, and fly balls to kind of distinguish the quality of contact that's being made on fly balls to figure out what's going on with folks' batted ball profile and to get a more precise idea of how well players are hitting fly balls. Now, Matt Carpenter is the perfect example of a guy who if you look at just Fangraphs, you'll see a guy who had pretty similar seasons, right? Heading into 2017, I was a fan of Matt Carpenter because I looked at all of the power metrics that I think about for a hitter, and he was getting everything, right? He had hit 271 the year before, and he had only hit 21 home runs. But when you look under the cover, right, you have a really strong O swing, you have a really strong hard hit rate, you have a really strong pull percentage right here, you have a low infield fly ball percentage, you have a pretty high fly ball percentage. That's about 8% better than league average right there. And so you have all of these things that tell you, oh man, this guy is going to have a power breakout. 21 home runs does not seem like the number he should have. Now, in 2017, he was going earlier in drafts, but I really liked him, so I drafted him a couple places. And if you look at the kind of surface stats, you know, the O swing is still really strong. It improved. The hard hit rate improved as well. The pull percentage is about the same. The infield fly ball rate still very, very low. The fly ball rate even higher, right? And so with all of that being said, you're thinking about a guy and you're thinking, wow, that guy should be hitting a ton of home runs. But when we look at the home run totals, he had 23 home runs. Now, 23 home runs isn't anything to laugh at, but in today's game of baseball, especially in 2017 when the ball was juiced, 23 home runs was not that great, especially when you're not necessarily getting batting average or speed from Carpenter. Now, going into 2018, I was excited about having Carpenter because of those same underlying stats, the fact that he was going much later in drafts. I think his ADP was around 170 or so. Now, this year, he had a breakout year. He was crushing the ball, right? Now, it started out a little slow, but all said, it was a great season. We look at this. The O swing actually is worse than it was in 2017. Now, the hard hit rate went up by 7%, and that's obviously really, really important. But the other things were there. You know, hard hit rate year before, the pull percentage still really high. Fly ball percentage actually dropped, even though the home runs went up. Line drives also went up. And so if you look at these two seasons in Fangraphs, you may say, oh, well, there's a 7% increase in hard hit rate right here. And that's the reason why he's hitting more home runs. Well, you know, if you looked at all the other metrics, though, you'd be like, well, they both look like really solid power hitter numbers. Now, here's where xstats.org comes in and the detailed batted ball profiles, because the fly ball percentage and infield fly ball percentage really aren't sufficient in terms of identifying how well somebody is hitting for power and hitting the ball in general. Now, infield fly ball percentage is not the percentage of balls hit overall that are infield fly balls. It's actually the percentage of fly balls that are hit on the infield. So it's a pretty small number overall. Now, here's where xstats.org comes into play. Now, you just go to xstats.org and scroll down, click on xstats version 9 batters, and then a Excel spreadsheet is going to pop up right here for you. Now we're just going to do a quick search for Matt Carpenter. That should get us to Matt Carpenter. There's no other Matt Cars, I don't think. It's not in the sheet, sorry. All right, this should get us to Matt Carpenter right here. There he is. All right, so we're looking at the 2017 and 2018 seasons and what was the difference. Now, I've showed folks the detailed batted ball profiles before, and so this is where you can see the difference. Now, remember, Carpenter's fly ball percentage was higher in 2017 than it was in 2018, but he hit a lot more home runs. Now, we go over to this detailed batted ball profile, And what we see is Carpenter was hitting an insane number of pop-ups last year. He actually talked about in spring training in 2018, he talked about it in the sense that he was trying to hit too many home runs is the way that he framed it. But as he spoke a little bit more, what you could tell that he was saying is, he was selling out too much for fly balls and hitting the ball in the air instead of driving the ball at lower launch angles. And that's what he was able to accomplish in 2018. You see a 6.5% dip in pop-ups. Now, pop-ups, under the classification for xstats.org, those right here have a batting average of 0.021. That's right, 0.021. So only 2 out of 100 fall. They're essentially the same thing as batted strikeouts. Now, he was hitting 8.7% more than league average of those. Now, what he did in 2018 is he lowered his launch angle. So he went from 26.7 here to 20.2. Now that's 6.5%. It doesn't always sound like that much, but that's 65 points of batting average, essentially. Like he's going from 26.7% of his batted balls having no chance of falling in to 20.2% of his batted balls not having a chance, but 6.7% of them being in other categories that have a better chance. Now, what he did is he shifted those batted balls from these pop-up, these automatic outs based on launch angle, both horizontal and vertical, and exit velocity, and he shifted those down. So you see a slight increase in fly ball percentage, but even better, what you see is a massive increase in hard drive percentage. Now, this hard drive percentage is the best type of batted ball. Hard drives right here. They 683 batting average, a 1156 WOBA, pretty much the vast majority, over 90% of home runs come on hard drives as they're hit. So this is a huge, huge shift in the batted ball profile, right? And you may not have seen this. You might have actually thought, just looking at Fangraph's fly ball percentage, that, hey, his fly ball percentage is going down. Intuitively, I'm thinking, oh, well, he's going to have less volume of fly balls, so he's going to hit less home runs. But because all fly balls are not created equal, he was actually hitting the ball at lower launch angles, at better launch angles, and therefore getting more home runs. And that's really how I think it's really important to get beyond just thinking about ground ball, line drive, and fly ball percentage. And why I love xStats so much is that it shows you the difference between fly balls, whether they're well hit fly balls like hard drives, whether they're medium hit fly balls like fly balls, or whether they're terribly hit fly balls like pop-up percentage, right? Infield fly ball percentage still falls into this category, but it's just referred to as something different, and it takes into account a lot more balls. Now, one of the reasons why it's also really, really important is that pop-up percentage. When we look at the year-to-year correlation of the detailed batted ball profile, pop-up percentage has a pretty strong year-to-year correlation. So that means that if a batter, has a lot of pop-ups in one year, they're fairly likely to have a lot of pop-ups in the next year. Now, hard drives are and dribblers are the only ones that have a higher year-to-year correlation, and they're really the types of batted balls that you want to be looking at within xStats. And so that's a little bit about why I think xstats.org is such an important tool for fantasy players, is being able to look more precisely at the type of batted balls that are being hit by batters, the batted ball quality. And the more precise we can get, right? The most precise you get is launch angle, but just putting them into these three buckets of different fly balls does so much for your understanding of how well a hitter is hitting the ball. So as you do your baseball research this year, think about, and you look at hitters who have fly ball percentages, especially high fly ball percentages. Take a look at what their batted ball profile looks like on xstats.org. Figure out whether they are hitting the ball well in the air, or whether maybe they're hitting a lot of fly balls, which is just going to drag down their batting average. So thank you so much for watching BatFlip Crazy YouTube. We have other instructional videos up on YouTube. Definitely check those out. If you like what you're hearing, please do subscribe, help us spread the word. Thank you so much for watching, and we will be back soon with more videos.